So if you came into this process and you already have a business name and you're feeling really comfortable with it, that is fantastic. If you haven't, then that's okay. But it is something that you're going to want to seriously think about. And part of the challenge there is if you're currently operating under your name and we're branding you and turning you into a business, having a formal business name that's different from your individual name may be an important part of that shift. Not just in terms of your branding and how you're presented, but also in terms of how you think about your business. So here's a couple of things when you're planning your business name that you should keep in mind. Definitely, if there is somebody else in your area that is operating under a business name, you don't want to be close to that. And not necessarily even in terms of the word itself, but how it sounds. If there's already a cottage country renovations, you probably don't want to be cottage country construction. So I mean, it's up to you. You totally can. If it's a legitimate business and you want to like piggyback on that, that's a decision that you may make. Some of the things to also keep in mind are how does it sound? So if I have to say your business name and the person can't understand it and they go, what? And you have to repeat it, that may not be the best business name. And you're probably thinking, what are you talking about? So just an example of that, I knew a gentleman, the name of his business was Elemental Construction. The construction part's pretty clear, but elemental with respect to construction was a little confusing. I have a tendency to enunciate quite well. So elemental, you will probably understand what I'm saying. Now, if I said that to somebody else, often if their hearing's not great, which it isn't for some people, or if somebody else was saying the name, what would happen is they would say, oh, mental? What? What? And they wouldn't know what the name was. So instead of now being able to have a conversation about what we do, how long we've been in business, or any of those other things, you're caught up in this misunderstanding and mishearing about the name. So test it out. If you're not sure, then have your friends and family say the name out loud to you and see what it sounds like. And if there's a part of you that's hesitant to have them do it, then maybe it's not the right name because you're not feeling comfortable with it. So give that a bit of a try. Now, a couple of other things to keep in mind as well. You want to make sure that in your name, it is helpful, even if it's not the primary name, but the sub name, to put something in there that indicates what type of business you are. That's pretty self-explanatory. And when it all comes down to it, you want to make sure that you are, yes, you're not confusing with other people, but you're relatively clear about how to find it. Spelling's a big one. This is like baby names. It is not cute for you to use some weird spelling of some common word because you think it's going to be great. Because when somebody goes to look for you and they're typing it in, they may or may not find you. And finding you with respect to advertising is kind of the point. So just keep those sorts of things in mind. Not sure where to start, sometimes it can be a little bit overwhelming. So there's actually some tools that you can use that can help you generate just some brainstorming for your businesses. And in our modules here, we've actually done a link for you. Now, this is an external link, so if you don't like the names, that's totally fine. We're not going to be offended, but we just want to give you an idea that there's places that you can go and things to start with, because sometimes it's a lot easier to take a list of 100 things, knock off 98 of them and go, these are the two I'm debating between. So give that a try. Otherwise, you can totally use any name that you want. That being said, remember, we're shifting from you being the guy that does the thing to the business who performs the work. A very important distinction because one of them is going to make a lot more money than the other. Just keep that in mind.